and welcome to Truth with Ruth, a witty, warm, and real podcast about anything and everything health and fitness. Welcome. I'm your host, Ruth Edwards, joined by co-host
Evan Edwards.
And on today's episode, we are going to talk about Pilates, or Pilates, or Pilates. I mean, I've heard it called all kinds of things, but Pilates is what we're going to talk about. So I am a comprehensive Pilates teacher. I started my training in 2017 and completed it early 2019 and have been teaching ever since. And I fell in love with it. So here's what happened. And you watched this unfold, right? So I was gung-ho doing all the things. I was doing those mud races, Spartan races, a Tough Mudder. I was powerlifting, like all in. I got my trainer moved away, and right before she moved away, I asked her if she thought, could I become a personal trainer? And absolutely sure. So I get my personal training certification, and I'm that point, I'm powerlifting. I'm still running a lot, but things are starting to aggravate me. And every time I tried to get a PR on something, I was tweaking something, or my neck was hurting all the time. It was just a lot of things. And so now I have access to a little more information, so I start researching, and I keep coming across muscle balance. Well, then I start digging into, well, how do you create muscle balance? And I keep coming across Pilates. I'm like, well, I've heard of Pilates, but I don't know what it is. And so I start asking around. Any of my friends know anybody around here who teaches Pilates? And they sure do. And so next town over, I go to a Pilates session, and I felt like I was on a spaceship, or in a spaceship. It was very strange and very weird, but my body really liked it. And again, I wasn't really sure what it was, but I knew that my body liked it and I needed more of it. And thus began my Pilates journey. I very quickly jumped into teacher training because I knew I needed to understand it more and better and wrap my head around this. So I drank the Pilates Kool-Aid, and at the same time, those things in my body that had been breaking down, what we eventually found out was that I was developing an autoimmune disorder, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's, and then you start researching that and how that impacts exercise, and some things started to make more sense. And so there for a little while, to a couple years, I guess, that's for exercise, general exercise, that's about all I was doing was Pilates. Mm-hmm. But I was doing it 4 or 5 days a week. I might walk a little bit, but that was about it. So what I tell people is Pilates saved my life, because if it hadn't have been for that, I would have done nothing. Well, nothing is not good either. Mm-hmm. So, and then once I was able to, and I worked really hard on this, I still work hard on it, but I got that autoimmune disorder into remission, and I try to keep it there. And so once I got my body in a better place, then I was able to pick back up on some other forms of exercise that I like, such as strength training. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that, yes, I had lost some strength, but not near as much as I thought. And so that was a pleasant surprise. But anyway, that's how I ended up teaching Pilates, and I do love it. I do highly recommend it. But one of the reasons I want to talk about Pilates with the listeners and our audience is because there are a lot of misconceptions about it. much of that due to social media. TikTok University tends to make us think certain things about certain things, and it's not always true. So I want a clear thing. I want to be honest. Again, that's the whole point of me doing Truth with Ruth. I want to be clear, open, honest, and truthful about what Pilates is and what it isn't. At least on today's episode is about Pilates. What it is and what it isn't, and what it's good for, what it's not. Anyway, truthful about Pilates.
Yeah.
Or Pilates. I mean, hey, a piece of pie and a latte sounds good about right now, because where we are, it's extremely cold. For us, it is cold. So anyway, I'll take a latte. All right. So, question number 1.
Well, what's Pilates?
What is Pilates? It is not pie and lattes. Or Pilates. Hey, I just made that up. It is an exercise method that was created and developed by a man named Joseph Pilates. So that's where Pilates comes from. He called it controlology. That's what his name was. His name for it was. Okay. So it's an exercise method. That's it in a nutshell. Exercise method. Now, to get a little bit more into it, it's an exercise method that combines strength with stretch. And there are some principles that go with it. Breath work, control, okay, controlology. So control, breath, precision. So it just has some principles that kind of guide the method. So we're not doing, in Pilates, we're not doing a lot of heavy weight. We're not doing 48 repetitions. You're doing 6 to 10. So it is an efficient, effective exercise method. It is not the be-all, end-all, though. So, yeah, that's Pilates. And you've done a little bit of Pilates.
Yeah.
And here and there.
Well,
used you as a test subject, guinea pig. Especially when I was doing the student teaching. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I was just say, so I do it, you do it. Who else can do it? Who can do?
Anybody and everybody. Yeah. So who should do Pilates? In my opinion, everybody. Everybody should do Pilates. And yeah, so it's so beneficial because it really does help with that muscle balance and helps with flexibility and mobility, injury prevention. It's reduces stress. It might help you get a little stronger in certain things. It's very beneficial for the core. And we can flesh that out later, but it's anybody and everybody can do Pilates. All ages, from young all the way up to, I don't know, the 90s. I've seen it all. So it's very, very, very beneficial for any age and any type of person. So I think one of the coolest things that I've seen in my years as a teacher is people who hate to exercise, and they're willing to give Pilates a try, and they love it. And it's at least one thing, exercise-wise, that they find that they like and will do consistently. And that's a win in my book. So I would like for them to do some other things, but if Pilates is it, then we'll take it. So yeah, anybody. Yeah.
And then I guess we're fortunate enough to have a contraption called a reformer in our home studio.
Yes.
But for those who they're expensive, they're big, they're heavy. Not everyone's gonna have a reformer in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So where can people go to? Where can your average Joe or Joette go to do Pilates?
I was like, what name is he gonna say? That's a great question. I think so reformer Pilates is making has made a big splash and is becoming much more recognized, available, or what I really should say is Pilates on the reformer. But anyway, lots more studios popping up and opening, and anyway, equipment, Pilates on equipment. However, those can be a little pricey too, and scheduling and all that. So, in my opinion, if you live in a really small town, you might not. It doesn't exist. Like, it's not there. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I would start with probably my local gym or YMCA, but something gym wise that offers group fitness classes, and ask if they teach Pilates mat. So MAT, Pilates mat classes. And that's a great place to start, kind of get a feel for it, get introduced to what is this about.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, with the equipment-based Pilates making this huge, or has become much more mainstream,
mm-hmm.
and much more common and available now, especially in your bigger towns and cities. That is not how Joseph Pilates started. He started with the mat. And it's an interesting story if you want to look it up and read it sometime. But basically, World War I, he ended up in an internment camp. I'm trying to kind of speed through this. He was in a bunkhouse, and he had this repertoire of exercises that he would do to keep, and it helped keep him healthy. And he ended up having the whole bunkhouse do basically, let's go outside, let's do these exercises. So he had them all do the exercises, and when the flu came through, they were the only ones that didn't get sick. So then I believe that it was an English internment camp, Great Britain. So they realize what's happened. They pull him aside, have him start working with the wounded soldiers, and that's how some of the pieces of equipment came to be. So the whole idea of springs and pulleys, and that's how we call it the Cadillac or tower, or there is a Cadillac, there is a tower, but very similar. And then the reformer, I think, came to be was because of his work with the wounded soldiers. And again, he was using what he had. Hospital beds had what? Springs. So he was using what he had on hand, and wow, very innovative and creative. And anyway, then so that it started with Pilates mat. So if it were me, that's where I'd start, is mat. And then equipment-based Pilates, what it's really meant to do is help you either become stronger or more flexible so that you can do all of the mat exercises as written. The mat exercises as written are hard. They don't start off too bad, but then you keep going, and they just it gets hard. And it either in strength or in flexibility or a little bit of both. There's still a couple of mat exercises that they're very challenging for me, mainly because of my scoliosis. And so, yeah, but that's where I would start, is Pilates. 1 to 2 times a week. Twice a week is ideal, but let's be realistic. budgets, scheduling. So, now, you didn't ask this question yet. But you could, like if you look around town and there's nothing, or there's nothing available at the times you can do it, go to YouTube. Oh my goodness. Okay.
YouTube University.
Go to YouTube University. There's no excuse. An internet search, a YouTube search, or whatever search, an app, I don't know. Somebody's got something out there on demand that you could do in the comfort of your living room. Now, if you have dogs, you're probably going to need to put them up, because once you get down on the floor, you're doing puppy Pilates, That can be a little difficult. But, yeah, I would, again, there's really no excuse. You can find somebody somewhere, again, even if you're streaming somebody on your TV to not ideal when you're first starting, because an in-person teacher is going to help you make sure you're doing it all correctly. But you can start somewhere. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Joseph Pilates working with his bunkmates, was it?
Mm-hmm.
His bunkmates, and that they didn't get sick when the influenza came through. And then you mentioned that they recruited him to work with wounded soldiers. So hearing that, we can make the assumption that I guess we can make the assumption, and also I'm asking,
Okay.
or can we assume that Pilates, of course it's a exercise method, exercise is healthy, can we assume that Pilates is a good way to keep us healthy and keep us from getting sick, and can I say the right words?
Yeah,
Is
I
Pilates,
understand.
can Pilates be a preventative for sickness, for, you mentioned you were, I think it was last episode, but, your muscles started to get tweaked and aggravated, so, can Pilates be a preventative, and can we, assume that Pilates, is it a safe assumption that Pilates keeps us healthy?
I think so. And here's why I think the muscle balance and the mobility work. Mobility is a buzzword right now that I see a lot on Instagram and TikTok is, you need your mobility work. You need your mobility work. Yes, you do. But what the heck is that? Okay. Well, it's keeping things moving. Well, Pilates will do that. And so yes. I think muscular fascia wise, yes, it's going to help you be more balanced, left to right, front to back. And, so you're less likely to get injured, whether it's in another sport or another just
Walking?
daily life, turning your head a certain way. And then as far as like the illness, like sickness part, I think two reasons there. It reduces stress, and it causes you to breathe deeply. And deep breathing, we know, especially that long exhale, helps you rid your body of toxins. Oh, and this is really interesting. Whole separate topic, but if I don't say it now, I'll forget. What are the main ways that fat leaves your body? So you've been exercising hard, you've been eating right, you've been in a calorie deficit, your body is shedding the fat. How does fat primarily leave your body?
I'm sweating. That might be wrong. Sweating or breathe through your mouth? Breathing?
Yes! Breath!
I didn't know that.
Right? Isn't that crazy? So, I'm like, everybody just needs to be walking around going, okay, but no, it doesn't actually work that way. You got to put in the work to cause your body to release the fat, but it leaves your body through your exhale.
Isn't
that crazy? It's wild.
Well, just the other day we were talking about box breathing.
4-4-8.
Yeah. So is that why you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8? Is that why we exhale for double the time, or for 8 seconds?
Well,
rather than
good question.
4?
I don't really know. But what I do know is that when you exhale for longer, you're expelling all the air and pushing it all out. And that is important in pushing out anything that's not supposed to be in there. Like, think like a dish rag. So or any kind of cloth, a washcloth, whatever, and you go to wring it out, like and you have to twist it, squeeze it. It's kind of, you got to think same thing with your lungs. The longer that exhale, the more you're kind of squeezing all that air out and pushing out anything that's not supposed to be in there. So, okay, so what was the initial question? Is it a safe assumption that Pilates can maybe prevent
things?
Yeah. So I think, God bless you. I think it reduces stress, and I'm going to come back to that, but it reduces stress. We know that stress makes you more vulnerable to getting sick, and the deep breath work. I think because of what I know about sunshine and fresh air, I think that back in World War I, when they were doing that, they were doing Pilates mat, which he called controlology. They were doing that outside in the grass. They didn't have mats. Their bare feet and bare legs probably were on the grass. Or dirt, whatever. So, fresh air, sunshine, and what we now call grounding or earthing. Okay? That's probably why they didn't get sick, right? Okay, but let's come back to that stress reduction. And it was actually my niece who said it, and it's just always stuck with me because I'm like, you're exactly right. So I was just getting into Pilates. She lives in a bigger city. She had already been doing Pilates, and she was into the equipment-based Pilates, and she said, oh, I just love it. I'm so glad you're going to learn how to teach it. She said, it's just such a stress reliever for me because after, so you're there beginning to end about an hour. And she said, and what I realize is after that hour of Pilates, I realize, oh, I haven't been able to think about anything else. So for that 50 to 60 minutes, all I've thought about is, oh, breathe. Oh, hold this, push that, and then also bend this way. And so you're just listening to the instructor and the cues that they were giving you, and you're focused on what your body is doing and how it's doing it, and the breath, and the this, and the that. And you can't think about your grocery list, or you can't think about, oh, I need to do this when I get home. You just can't think about it, because if you do, you're lost, and you're, I don't know, maybe hanging upside down by your pinky toe. And so, like, you better be paying attention. And so, when you can't think about anything else but what you're doing in that moment, it's actually stress relief. Joy. That is number 3. God bless you.
I got a bug up my nose.
Well, I saw some little dust flying around. Maybe it was that. But, so same, sneezing and coughing are, they're trying to push something out. So if you need to sneeze some more, sneeze some more. Get rid of it. Get it out. Yeah. So, possibly, to answer the question, it's very likely. We know it helps prevent injury, and we know it helps reduce stress. So I would venture to say, yeah. Do I have a research study to back that up? No, but common sense. I went to Common Sense University. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you gonna sneeze again?
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I guess you mentioned mat Pilates, which you don't need a mat for. Technically.
Right.
We talked about reformers. Are there any other different kinds of Pilates, or something you can do Pilates on, or who you can do Pilates with, or something like that?
Yeah. So there's mat and equipment. There are different pieces of equipment. What's popping up around and becoming much more mainstream and more available to the public or the general population is the reformer. And that's that weird contraption that's heavy, big, takes up a lot of space. It's expensive. So that's what you're seeing pop up is reformers. So I should say reformer classes. Then there's a tower, and there's chair. There's something called a Cadillac, which basically is the tower with one other piece on it. And so it is possible to find a chair class, a reformer class, a tower class. There's a studio, a large group studio that I'm teaching at that I really appreciate that it's equipment based. And so in any class at any time, we can incorporate we can do reformer, mat, tower, chair. We can arc. There's all these different pieces of equipment. So you can, if you walk into a Pilates studio, you can sign up and take what we call privates or one-on-one classes. If you have the budget and the time, that's a great place to start if you can swing it for at least a few sessions, because it'll just really give you a deeper understanding and appreciation of what the heck is going on. If you can afford it, it's worth the investment if you can swing it. And then, but from there, so we call them privates or one-on-one, small groups. So a lot of your boutique studios are going to be more like maybe 3 to 6 people. So I would call that a small group. Most of them are also going to include a lot of equipment. And then you have a lot of, what's popping up more and more is large group studios. And that's where there's 12 people in a class. And there are pros and cons to each one. So it might be budget or cost. It might be scheduling. It might be, I have a couple of clients that have some autoimmune disorder stuff going on. And right now it is just most appropriate for them to stay in the very small group. So like 1 or 2, maybe 3 people, no more than that. Because there's some balance issues, there's some modifications that we need to work through. And so, so sometimes it's not ever appropriate for you to be in a large group. And then there are other times where I can do any of it. So it just kind of depends on you and what you got going on. But there are lots of options. Then, mat classes, again, you can find a Pilates mat class in almost any gym. And so those can be fun and you can experience a lot of different instructors that way. And that's cool too. Take Pilates, take different kinds of Pilates from different instructors, because hey, we all get stuck in our ruts. And that instructor might pick up on something or notice something that I didn't notice. And so it's you don't have to be loyal.
It's like finding a a doctor or a dentist or a therapist or dermatologist. You gotta find the right fit.
Right, but then even after you find the right fit, and let's say a Pilates teacher, it's not a bad idea to go to a different one every so often, and just get a different. It'll be a different experience, and you might learn something new or different that you didn't know about your body before. Because we all notice different things. So, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, and I guess there's YouTube. There's other apps and websites that offer on-demand videos. Yeah. So then, the negative to that is they're not in your personal space, maybe correcting you or telling you how you could maybe do that better, or how you could change it to make it more appropriate for you and your body. But so just proceed with caution there, but don't be afraid to try it.
Yeah. And then I guess before we wrap up, I've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
First one, a little bit of what you said earlier. You mentioned you had to kind of stop doing so much powerlifting, and you had to pick up Pilates to keep your body moving. You said that when you were able to go back to lifting and things like that, you noticed that, or you thought you would lose some more strength than you did, and you only lost a little bit. So, with that being said, is Pilates the same as strength training? Or I guess, are there similarities and differences? Can Pilates be a good form of strength training?
Very good question. And currently, at this moment in time, January of 2026, it is a big debate on social media. Okay. I'm seeing it a lot. It's being addressed, sometimes correctly, sometimes incorrectly. And yes, I'm going to say, I'm going to address it correctly. So, because the whole point is to be warm and real with you. We're here to be warm and real. So, because I'm both. I'm a certified personal trainer, group fitness instructor, group fitness coordinator, and comprehensive Pilates teacher. So, all of it. If we pare it down and just give you an answer, straightforward answer, is Pilates the same as strength training, or can it count as strength training? The short, simple answer is no. Does it have some strength training elements to it? Yes. Could it possibly be some strength training for some people? Yes. But plain and simple, it is not the same. Now, what I do with my strength workouts, with every workout that I do, because I know what I know from the Pilates method, that Pilates method flavors everything that I do and teach. And I like to work from that mindset and that method, because I do think it's smart. It's efficient and it's effective. However, in order to either maintain or build muscle mass, you have to have enough load, weight, resistance to put stress on the muscle and the bones. Remember, that was the strength episode. We talked about your body adapts. No, that wasn't the strength episode.
Exercise.
It was the exercise episode. See, thank you, Evan. You have to your body will adapt to the stressor that you give it. So, at some point, your body's going to adapt. You need to put more load or change the stressor. And we are limited in Pilates. If we're sticking strictly to the reformer or the chair or the or the body weight on the mat, then we're gonna hit a wall when it comes to how much resistance or load we can add. So in that way, it is not. The other thing is, and a principle of strength training is like general rule of thumb, we're talking about 3 sets of 10. Just to keep it simple, there are a lot of nuances. So, a lot of nuance, but just to keep it simple, 3 sets of 10. In the Pilates method, in a class, we generally do 1 set of 6 to 10, and we move on to the next body part, muscle group exercise. So, you're never getting that muscle fatigue, and you need that for the strength training. So then, what was the other part, or what was I going to say?
I asked about similarities and differences.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Now, for somebody who is very, very new to exercise, they may very well experience strength training using the Pilates method. And it's so for somebody who's never done anything picking up weight wise, Pilates is actually a great, nice, gentle, stable, it can provide a lot of stability way to start and kind of learn some of the principles. And like I said, we can using the equipment provides a lot of stability and safety, but they may experience some strength gains. But somebody like me who can, I don't know what my squat max is at the moment, but let's say who can squat 200 pounds, I can't ever make that reformer that heavy in order to get that increase in load, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's how I was going to answer. Okay. Does that answer the question?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had a second question.
Yes, and then as we wrap up,
he's like wrap up.
As we wrap up, if anyone is curious about Pilates, what are some good resources where they can learn more about Pilates? Books, websites, your local Pilates instructor. I guess where can people go to learn more about Pilates?
Okay. I mean, there is a book. If you want to nerd out on it a little bit, Joseph Pilates wrote a book, and it's called Breath of Life. It's a small little paperback. I'm sure, y'all know the websites to go to look for it. Breath of Life. And so, I don't know, it might not even be 100 pages. It's a small little book. Breath of Life. That he goes through the principles, kind of some of his history, how, just some of the development of it. And then he goes through the mat exercises. So if you want to nerd out on it a little bit, it's really a cool story. And then, and it's quick and easy reading. Then beyond that, do an internet search and, see what comes up. Or my preferred method is ask a friend. Ask your friends. And that's what I did. How I found my first Pilates teacher. Ask your friends. I think I asked my hairdresser, actually. I'm like, do you know anybody that teaches Pilates around here? And she said, actually, I do. And their kids were in the same school, and there we go. Mm-hmm. So that would be my preferred method, is that you ask around, ask your friends, ask your church friends, like, hey, does anybody know? Does anybody know? Anybody know? If you're a member of a gym, check the group fitness schedule. See if Pilates mat is on the schedule. Yoga studios, a lot of times a yoga studio will also offer mats, Pilates mat classes, or vice versa. And then now here's going to show my bias. So I'm being real. My bias is I was trained through the school called Balanced body. Okay. There are lots of different schools of education for the Pilates method. Many. And they're probably all great. But so my bias is I went through Balanced Body, and I find them to be very balanced when it comes to teaching Joe Pilates method, but yet allowing for almost 100 years has gone by, 80
modern adjustments,
modern,
if you will.
that's great. We call, they use the word contemporary, but modern adjustments, innovation, new research. So Balanced Body, in my opinion, the way I went through it, they did a really good job of balancing what they call the classical, what Joseph Pilates intended and what he wrote and created, with the modern contemporary, what we've learned since then. Also, our bodies have changed since the 1940s. Like, people, not my body. I wasn't born then. I wasn't born yet. So, but like, just the people's bodies, especially in America, have changed.
What we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
Or what goes in.
Yeah. Our size has changed. And so, like, anyway, yeah, modern adjustments. I like how you put that. So their website is Pilates.com. That's really easy to remember.
Yeah.
So you could go to Pilates.com. You can do a search for instructors. And, I mean, yeah, you can check YouTube. There are some great, very valid, very well-trained teachers doing, they've got free videos there for you. So, did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
All right. Well, where can the viewers and audience find you?
They can find me on Patreon, Reignite Health and Fitness. I do have a few Pilates videos there. Disclaimer, I call them Pilates Sculpt. So it is Pilates mat, but with a little extra muscle, what am I trying to say? Strength training added in. So a few more reps than you would normally do in a typical mat class, and maybe with some more props. So maybe some little dumbbells or a resistance band. So I have a few Pilates Sculpt videos there, but it's taken the Pilates method and adding to it. But yeah, Reignite Health and Fitness on Patreon and truthwithruth.com and on socials.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Evan.
Of course.
You always ask really good questions, and sometimes I'm not, like, prepared for them, but you ask good questions, so, and hopefully that'll help our listeners, because I think it, you grew up in my house and watched a lot of this, but your perspective is still more from probably the general listening audience and questions that they might be asking. Yeah. However, if you have questions for Evan, just let us know. Or have other questions, just let us know. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Stay well.